Hi, welcome to TCKC. I'm the Croft Kids Mom, and I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial kind of to add on to the yarn dolls to give you guys some more options. We made yarn octopus. Here's one. Here's two more little octopus. They're super easy to make. And we also made fabric out of fabric scraps. We made this octopus, and you can also make fabric dolls, basically like a rag doll. So I'm going to show you really quick how to make these, and let's get started. We'll start with the fabric scraps. If you want to do one out of fabric, you need about 18 pieces of fabric that's about 1 inch wide and about 24 inches long, and it does not have to be cut evenly, obviously. It's okay if it's a little bit frayed. Just strips of fabric, whatever you have lying around the house. Lay them out flat. Try to make them as even as you can. Then you take one shorter piece of fabric, or you can make it as long and fold it into the octopus. It doesn't matter. And you're going to double knot it in the middle. So you have something that looks like that. It's tied. Then you're going to take either, you know how you get down to the end of your yarn and you have just a tiny bit left and you're not really sure what to do with it? And you kind of can wad it up and make a little ball out of it. You can use that. I'm going to use this for the yarn. Or if you have cotton batting for quilts or anything, you just need a little square of it and just kind of roll it up until it makes a ball. And you're going to take that and place it on your knot, and you kind of hold your knot there, and you're going to start spreading these out in a circle so there's some on each side. If I can get them loose. All the way around. And then you're just going to pick it up from underneath, flip it over, and then you're going to have to work around it to cover the cotton so that you make sorry about that, so that you make a head, basically. This would be the head of the rag doll, or it will be the top of the octopus. Some fabric is more flexible than others, so depending on what you use, like if you cut up some pillowcases, those are super flexible. You should have something that looks like that. And then, oops, you know what? I forgot. You're going to need one more piece of fabric to tie. So let me grab that real quick. You need one extra piece to tie underneath your head here. And you can double knot it. Make sure you tie it really tight. And then you have your head. Now, if you were going to make this into a rag doll, all you would do is you would pull out a couple of strings for the arms that you can braid on each side. And then you would take another piece of fabric and tie it around the middle so that you would have something that looks like this. So you would braid each arm. I just braid it and then knot it at the end, but you could use a tie if you wanted to. And then you have the piece around the waist. and that makes the dress. You definitely could turn this into a boy if you wanted to. You just separate the fabric strips, scraps, whatever you want to call it, into legs, and they have really long legs. They look like little circus performers on stilts, in my opinion. But so that's how you make the doll. And then if you're going to make the octopus, same basic top, and then you take your pieces and you just start braiding them. So you grab a couple pieces, and some of them are going to be bigger than others. Most of them, I think I did two strips per strand, so you'd have 6 in each braid. So let me get 6. And you can braid it. Just make sure that you have 8 legs, because octopus have 8 legs. And you braid it down as far as it will go. Since your strips are not even, some of them are going to be longer than others. And then you just fold it in to a knot. If that's too hard for you, especially for little hands, Savannah can't fold in the knots, so she just ties them. And then you pull down just like you do the yarn on the yarn dolls, and then you have a leg. So see, there's the leg. So you would do that for all the strips 8 times. So you have 8 legs. And that's a fabric octopus and the fabric ragdoll. All right? Same concept with the yarn. You can do an octopus or you can do a doll. For the yarn, you're going to do the same thing you do with the DVD case. So we're going to go around as many times as I think is necessary. Usually that's around 20. Savannah's a stickler for counting. I'm not. I just kind of eyeball it till I see, well, that's about how thick I want it or how little I want it. Depends on what I'm making. I'm going to let that fall on the floor, make it easier. Okay, now instead, I started with this all the way at one end. Instead of tying it, I'm just going to cut it. Because when I take this off, slide it off of the case, I'm going to cut the loops so that I have all loose strands. I should have one small piece. There we go. Okay, so just like the fabric straps, you have the yarn straps. You're going to take a piece and tie it. This is for the octopus. Tie it, triple tie it. All right, then you kind of fan it out. I can hear Piper laughing in the other room. Then you take your little yarn ball, stick it on your knot, flip it over, work them down so that they cover the ball. This one's a little bit smaller than the fabric. The yarn is much thinner than the fabric, so depending on how big you want the head, you might have to get a bigger ball or bigger batting. But we have a bunch of those little tiny ends of the yarn that really we don't use, so I figured let's just use them inside. So then you have that, and you're going to tie it around the neck, triple tie it. You've got something that looks like that, and it looks just like the yarn dolls that you're making already. So if you wanted to make a doll, you would just take the arms out, just like you did before, and you could tie them or braid them. Then you would tie a waistband, And then you could separate the legs and create legs, or you could leave them down and create a skirt. Now this hair, I figured out how to do this and I kind of like it. To make hair, this is going to be a little rabbit trail, but anyway, so you just wrap it around your hand several times, however much you want. Don't tie it. And then just cut it and cut all of it loose just like you did before. And you kind of spread it out, and then you take another piece and put it in the middle. I'm sorry, lay that flat and then put these on top right in the center. And then you fold this. When you tie the initial knot for the head, use this so that all of this hair is at the top when you're done. So when you tie your initial knot for the octopus's head or the doll's head, you, instead of just tying with a plain piece of yarn, you tie it with this that has this little, all this hair roped over the middle. And so when you tie it, that would be on the top. Hello. So that's how she's got hair. And then you can tie a bow around it too. That really makes it sturdy. So, and then that would be the girl doll. A boy doll, you don't really need hair, but you could just leave the head like that, separate the legs, tie them or braid them, and then you've got a boy. So back to the octopus. That was a rabbit trail. So you're going to make 8 legs. So you've got this tied. You take the yarn, separate it, start braiding it. Now, it's a lot easier if you have a partner to hold part of it for you, or if you have a way of putting it under a book. I like to just put on clean socks, and I put this in between my feet, and my feet hold it like a little clamp, and that really works really well, and you can get done pretty easy, pretty quickly, actually. So you would braid all of these, and then you would tie it, just like I do on the yarn dolls. Or you can use an extra piece of yarn to tie it. So you would make 8 legs, and they come out like this. Now, if you don't want to braid them, you can just separate them into legs and just tie them at the end, and they're loose. So that's what it looks like when they're loose, and that's what it looks like when they're braided. And that's that. So the only difference really is the head. You're putting either batting or a yarn ball or cotton or something inside the head. And that's it. So go create and never stop learning. Also, if you want to send these to Savannah to go on her mission trip, you can send them to our church, North Fort Myers First Baptist Church at 75 Evergreen Road, North Fort Myers, 33903, and just attention it to Savannah or the sewing group, and we'll make sure that it gets there.